Welcome to our webinar today on the ministry design process. Today we're going to be discussing derivatives of the visioneering process. I want you to understand from the outset that there are 4 phases in the ministry design process. The discovery phase, where we deal with identifying your values, defining your mission, and discovering your vision, along with developing your strategic plan to fulfill your mission and reach your vision. Then in the design stage, we talk about how to develop it, design it, and then of course delivery is dealing with your implementation, and of course direction is management, monitoring. It's caring for your ministry design once you've launched it. Today we're going to focus on the discovery phase, and I want you to understand the importance of getting things in order. Luke 14 verse 28 to 32 says, "What man goeth to build a tower, a house, a building, and does not first count the cost, lest he get the foundation laid and the walls up, and does not have the funds to finish it, and he is ridiculed, mocked, he's made fun of. What general goeth to war, and does not look a distance off, and see the enemy has twice the soldiers and forces, resources, and then draws near to make peace." Excuse me. With this, I have set this pyramid in front of you to understand that core values is the foundation of your ministry design. And you have to get those right and identify your priorities, what's driving you, before you move on to defining your mission, how you are going to fulfill the Great Commission, flesh it out in your ministry. Vision is then built on that. So driving your mission and vision are your core values, and then at the top of it is your strategic plan, and that's how you're going to carry out your mission in order to reach your destination, your vision, all within the parameters of your priorities, your core values. What are the things that are driving you to do what you're doing, your mission and your vision? Let me describe first off for you what vision is and visioneering is by giving you an illustration that was shared with us by Andy Stanley in the book Visioneering. He talks about Wilbur and Orville Wright, and one day when their dad came into the house when they were children, and he had in his hands a toy helicopter. At least that's what they called it at that time. And he released it in the room, and it flew up to the ceiling, and Wilbur and Orville were smitten by that, and out of that experience developed and created an urge to fly. And so they worked during their teen and young adult life to remove every obstacle to fulfill that urge to fly. And they basically engineered their vision to fly with a plane. And he talks about what visioneering is the process that involves several things. There is a formula for the visioneering process whereby we are going to go through to discover and design and develop and then implement and monitor God's vision for our life and ministry. So he gives in this book this formula. Visioneering, the process, is both inspirational plus conviction plus action plus determination plus completion. It involves these things in our lives if we're going to discover and develop and carry out God's vision for our ministry. He then gives an explanation that life is a journey. In his book, Visioneering, he says that every life is a journey, and every journey has a destination. We all end up somewhere in the roles we play in life. Personally, professionally, domestically, spiritually. And a few people end up somewhere on purpose. – These people are the ones that have vision. Now, let's move it from your personal life. When you're looking at your personal life and your professional life, your home life, your domestic life, and your spiritual life, and let's move that over to the church that you are leading. What is this going to mean? Well, it means that vision is multifaceted. For instance, when I was looking for a wife, I had a vision in mind, a mental image of who my wife was going to be in her appearance, in her conduct and character, in what she believed, her philosophy of life. Then when we believed that we wanted children, and I had a vision for our sons and who they would be and how they would be and what they would be, and wanted them in every area of their life. But I had vision for that, and we designed our family and marriage and home to help fulfill that vision in their life as young people. And then professionally, you look at your church and what do you want it to accomplish? And so when you look at this, and how Andy Stanley has communicated or explained the visionary process, where do you see your church down the road? How is it going to be professionally? How is it going to be as a family? How is it going to be spiritually? What characteristics and conduct and creed? What do you see it becoming one day? What must it become? So we all have different areas of vision for our lives, and vision is a mental picture of what you want the various arenas of your life to look like down the road. So when you look at your life and ministry, where do you see them ending up? What do they look like down the road? And then illumination. Illumination is needed to make God's vision come clearly into view. So we clean our windows and skylights so that the light could get in, and we want the light in because it casts clear visibility, everything that is there. And so we need to clean our dirty windows, if you would, that is blocking the view. And when you illuminate vision and the importance of it to your people, you want them to be able, you want to be able to remove anything that is blocking their ability to see very clearly what is God's vision for your ministry. So, what is keeping you from seeing God's vision for your ministry? You can't share with others what you haven't discovered yourself. You can't, for instance, share your faith until you have some. You can't share God's vision for your ministry if you don't have any idea what it is. One of the authors, I believe it was Aubrey Malphurs, refers to George Barna's survey of senior pastors, and only 2% of the senior pastors that they surveyed in this one exercise could articulate a clear vision for their ministry. Folks, if you don't have a clear understanding of God's mind on the matter when it comes to the future of your church, how are you supposed to lead your church to the promised land? How are you supposed to lead your church to that preferred future, to that better life or condition of your church, to partner with God as to where God is going? Well, if you don't know where he's going, how are you supposed to lead others there? And the answer is, well, you can't. And so you need to use illumination as a visual aid. You use storytelling and painting a portrait for people to be able to see. You're going to cast a floodlight on it through you as a window so that they can clearly see God and his mind. You want to give characterization to the vision, to describe what it's like as you paint a portrait, as you tell a story. By the way, one of the things, if you tell people just some dry bullet points of a book that they've read, what we found in investigating this is that people don't remember the bullet points. They remember the stories that were told to teach or explain or illuminate to illustrate the bullet point. So as you go through this, understand that telling stories and painting a portrait are visual aids that will characterize the vision that God has for your ministry, and it will give meaning to life. It will give meaning to the vision. It will increase their understanding. And so as we talk about the visioneering derivatives today, think about how you're going to explain it and illuminate it, how you're going to use word pictures to serve as visual aids, how you're going to clearly help them understand the distinctions, the differences between the parts of the ministry design process. What are those differences? Well, vision is seen as futuristic, inspirational, destinational, and pictorial. Mission, in its differences from vision, is functional. It's what you're doing, not where you're headed. It's informational. It's really not inspirational. It tells them what they're supposed to be doing. It's directional instead of destinational. They're headed in a certain direction from point to point on the map and on your journey, and they're headed for a final destination. And then it's practical, not pictorial. It's mechanical, if you would. There are other differences to it. Values deals with your motives, and the mission deals with your mandate, and your vision deals with your map or your destination, and your strategy deals with mechanics. So when you begin to put this together to lead your people through the ministry design process, or what I call ministry master planning, you better be able to explain the four components or steps that are involved in the discovery phase, where you identify your values as a corporate body, as a congregation, as a church, as a ministry. Those are the motives, the things that are driving you. Your mission is your God-given mandate, your God's directives to your ministry that you're to carry out. Your vision is the map or the destination, what you see your ministry becoming one day, what it must be, not just what it could be and should be, but what it must be as you partner with God. God has said, this is what you must be. And so you are doing these things to get you to the place where God is. And then your strategy are the mechanics. It's the daily manuals that you put together, operational manuals, and with goals and objectives and tactics that take you from where you are to where God wants you to be. It is the mechanics that you're using, your processes and systems, procedures and policies, that your practices that you're using to fulfill your mission, so you can reach God's preferred future for you. And you're doing it all within the framework of your priorities, of your values. You cannot go in conflict against your values. It won't work. It will disrupt your efforts. It may implode on you. And so there are differences that you need to understand about the distinctives of vision and visioneering. Then there are things that are similar, things that are the same. They have the same source. God gives the mandate. God gives the vision. Then it's future focused. They're both looking, what are we supposed to be doing today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and the following years that we're carrying out. And so they're future focused, and of course, vision's in the future. And then they're direction oriented. Where are we going and how are we going to get there? And then they're function directed, that you're supposed to be doing something. And so there are similarities to each one of these components as we look at them. Distinctives, they're inspirational. They are change oriented. So the question has been asked, and George Barna answers this in the book, The Power of Vision. he talks about how can you know if the vision you have declared is God's vision is actually God's vision. And so he gives this list of things as a checklist, and I want to share them with you. He says the vision that God has for your ministry will be inspirational. His vision for you will cause you to go beyond the limitations you assumed were obstacles. It will yield a bold reason for living. For instance, as a navigational guide for churches, when they go through their building programs, they run into obstacles. And often they look at it as the front of a wall that they just got to figure out how to tunnel under, how to build a scaffolding and get over, or how to walk around. And often it stops them. Some are probably, I'm guessing, but from my experience, around 70% of the time, when a ministry desires to build, it starts, stalls out, and stops, and has to restart, and then it stumbles, stalls out, and has to restart. And it goes through that process over and over again. So if 70% of the time we fail, well, if you have truly discerned God's vision for your ministry, it will be inspirational. And the inspiration of it and your partnership with him will enable you to move past those obstacles, those challenges, those barriers to fulfilling the vision. It will inspire you. Secondly, it's change-oriented. And George Barna says, vision is a means of describing the activity and the development of your ministry. His vision is not for the status quo. It is for change to fulfill his purpose. So it's looking at a preferred future, which insinuates from the very beginning that it's that which is going to be different than what you're currently experiencing. It's going to be better. So it requires change. In short, progress. Reaching, winning, and building lives, however God has called you to do that in your mission, in order to reach your vision that God has for your ministry of how your church is going to be once it reaches and fulfills its vision in all its area of life. Its character, its conduct, its creed, what it believes, and how it cares for people, how it interacts with the community and culture around it, what it culturally is like. You have a vision for that, God's vision for your ministry, that's going to require change. Spiritual growth requires change. It's putting off the old and replacing it with the new. It's growing in your relationship with Christ and in your Christ-likeness, in your service, in your character and conduct. It requires change. The next thing you can tell, if your vision that you believe is God's vision for your ministry, it will be challenging. God loves to stretch his people beyond our competency level and our comfort level through penetrating barriers and accomplishing the impossible. It is challenging to us. Next, it is empowering. It's focused on others. It's not focused on us. It empowers us to fulfill joy, Jesus, others, and you. It is long-term. It's not quickly over, usually. It may outlive you, but it's some destination. Moses did not get to physically step on the promised land, into the promised land, but he did see it. So it was long-term and outlived him. It's customized. His vision will fit your church perfectly. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You can't borrow it from another ministry. It's unique to you. It requires us to pursue God personally. It's detailed. Just enough to give you direction and a destination, but not overly detailed, where it becomes cumbersome and slows you down, weights you down. Hebrews 12:1. It's people-oriented. The purpose of his vision for your life and ministry is his glory and our good. It's going to be focused. I believe that your vision, God's vision for your work, in some measures, if you're going to fulfill the Great Commission to make disciples, is going to involve your pursuit of the unchurched, the lost, the unsaved, those who aren't in a personal relationship with Christ, however you couch it in your framework of theology and doctrine. It then is going to involve you witnessing to them, sharing with them, giving them the gospel, confronting them with their need of Christ. So you're going to pursue them, and then you're going to proclaim Christ. And then those that you win, you're going to mature them. You're going to make them disciples. And then you're going to help them as you go through this process for them to become disciple makers. So they're going to go repeat the process and join you in your effort. But whatever it is, it's going to be people-oriented. And the last thing that he shares with us is that it's going to be a promising future. It's going to give you a promising future. It means it's going to give you purpose in life, an impact in life, and partnership in life. It's going to give you hope in living. It's going to give you passion for living life. It's going to give you lasting value for life. Vision, because it comes from God and it's his vision for you, does all these things to us. It makes it distinct from man-made vision, from something that you concocted in your own imagination or you borrowed from somebody else's life or ministry. It makes it distinct. Then there are the vision derivatives that gives us a fulfilled life and ministry that is significant to daily duties, that energizes our life, that gives us a meaningful life. And Andy Stanley shares these things in the book Visioneering. And it gives us a different perspective on life. And he says that it weaves together four things. The first thing is that of passion. Vision evokes emotion. It allows us to experience ahead of time the emotions that are associated with our anticipated future. So your vision, God's vision, is out there, but because we bought into it and partnering with him, it's made us passionate about what God is going to do, and we're experiencing those emotions before we have fulfilled the vision. The rule is vision is always accompanied by emotions. The clearer the vision, the stronger the emotion. The second thing that is weaved into the fabric of our daily lives is motivation. Vision provides motivation. Vision-driven people are motivated. They carry out the mundane duties of life because they have vision of what could be, what should be, and what must be. It motivates them to plow ahead. This is the power of vision. It gives us direction. Vision sets the direction of our life and the direction of our church, of our ministry. It serves as a roadmap. It's telling us our destination and where we're going. Vision should simplify decision-making as well. Anything that moves us toward our destination gets a green light. It helps us prioritize our values in life, so we need to weed out those things that would keep us from accomplishing what matters most in life. Vision empowers us to move with purpose in a predetermined direction. Without vision, good things will hinder you from achieving the best things. If your life compass doesn't keep you from going adrift or being adrift in life, it's not serving its purpose. It's probably not from God. If you don't have vision, it will allow you to be robbed of your dreams. The fourth thing that is woven into our daily lives that helps us keep energized and keep life meaningful and gives significance to the daily chores of life and gives us a fulfilled life in ministry, that gives us a different perspective on life and the duties and the things that are uncomfortable, unpleasant, that seem to be unfulfilling daily, is that vision does this for us. It gives us clear purpose. Vision translates into purpose, a reason to get up in the morning. Life and you matter because of God's vision for your life. What are the derivatives of vision, a God-given vision for your life and ministry? Is fulfillment and significance and energy and meaning and perspective that belongs and is God's perspective, his view. And it makes us passionate about life and helps us plow through and barrel through the drudgery of what, really, be honest, is just daily routine. It motivates us and directs us and gives us a purpose-driven life. And then Aubrey Malphurs gives 10 different things that why is vision important? What is it going to produce? What is the fruit of vision in our ministry? Well, the first thing that he talks about is that it clarifies direction. And it's here that Aubrey Malphurs refers to a book that George Barna wrote called Leadership, where he said only 2% of pastors could state their ministry direction or vision. So it gives direction. So let me ask you, where is your ministry headed? Where are you headed? Mission is knowing where you are going. Vision is seeing where you are going. In other words, if you aim at nothing, you are sure to hit it. So what does this mean? Well, here's 3 different kinds of ministries, and see which one you are. The first one is the maintenance ministry, is headed nowhere. It's just maintaining. Think of yourself out swimming in deep water. You can't see the shore on any direction you look, and you're just treading water. If you have no vision, you have no destination, you can't see the shoreline. You don't know which direction to swim to reach safety, to reach land. If you don't have God's vision discovered and developed and designed and you're implementing it, then you don't have a shoreline. You can't see where you're going. You're a maintenance ministry. They're headed nowhere. Then there's the ministry that it has multiple directions. They have dueling visions. No single-mindedness. Think of James 1. Just double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Well, it's not just having a double vision, it's dueling visions where you have 2 or 3 or 4 different visions or preferred futures for your ministry, or varied destinations, and you can't hop on your horse and ride off in both directions. You've got to have single direction for your ministry. And having vision, one of the derivatives of it is that it clarifies God's direction for your ministry, because you know your destination, where you're headed. So you know where to turn your mission and direct it. The third ministry that he talks about, along with the maintenance ministry and a multiple directed ministry, is a maimed ministry. Now, he doesn't call it that. That's what I'm calling it. They have an incorrect vision or an incomplete vision. It's maimed in some way. And so it's not able to function as it was intended to function. It's handicapped. Then vision invites unity. And so it unifies. This serves 2 purposes: recruitment of staff and volunteers, and retention of the right staff and volunteers. This produces results that are pleasing to God. God talks about it in the scriptures about, brethren, be unified, have unity. Well, vision will invite unity. It invites and unifies your congregation. It'll help you recruit the right paid staff and the right volunteers, laborers to work and lead in your ministry. It will help you retain the right ones, both your paid staff and your volunteers. And it will produce results that are pleasing to God. It will mean everybody is rowing together. Everybody is blocking together. Everyone is running in the same direction. Pick your metaphor and apply it here. It's going to create unity. And then vision facilitates function. It tells you what you are supposed to be doing by painting a portrait that everyone can view. It's a clear understanding of God's preferred future, helping people to see the need for the work of the ministry. We're supposed to be equipping people for the work of the ministry, and part of that is the leadership we give when we help them clearly see how their function is going to fulfill the vision. The next thing that Aubrey talks about is vision enhances leadership. A leader is a godly servant, he has character, who knows and sees where he or she is going, mission and vision, and has followers, influence. So that's how Aubrey defines a leader. They follow Christ to the ends of the world. It will enhance, it will mature, it will develop your leadership. And then vision prompts passion. It fights mediocrity. And there's a problem in our churches and everyday life where we kind of fall back after time to the maintenance mode, to being just mediocre. And so poorly planned and executed ministries fall into the problem of mediocrity. It's business as usual. Well, vision and passion work hand in hand, and because vision is a seeing word and passion is a feeling word, so vision fuels passion. They work hand in hand. It prompts it. When you understand that you're partnering with God in fulfilling your part of God's eternal plan for mankind, that you ought to be propelled into action, to privilege to take part, and it makes you do or die. So vision prompts passion. Here's something you'll like. God's vision for your ministry ought to foster risk-taking. One of the derivatives, what you derive from a God-given vision, is that it will foster risk-taking. If a vision is compelling, it releases the congregation to take some risk to reach the vision. We'll risk everything for Christ, to be a part of him, to be a part of his cause. It's Matthew 16:24. Brought out and fleshed out and lived out by your congregation, where they're going to follow the Lord. And if you're going to follow the Lord, it means dying to self, taking up your cross, and following him. It's going to cause them to throw aside the aversion to taking risk, and now they're willing to take risk to fulfill it because they're passionate about it. And they understand it's a part of the function of fulfilling your vision. It will unite them together and give them clear direction. All of these things work together. It's going to help them take risk, which usually involves change. Vision offers sustenance. It helps us stay the course, fight the good fight, and finish our duty, our role in God's plan and the cause of Christ. We will fight through the pain of ministry, discouragement, disappointment, failure, betrayal, lies, and every other weapon that Satan can throw at us. It will sustain us through our ministry because we see very clearly God's preferred future and we're willing to pay the price to get there. Next, vision creates energy. It's exciting. It's energizing. It fights exhaustion. This week happens to be the last week of the professional baseball season. Living in South Carolina and pastoring in South Carolina and Alabama in my adult life, we became Atlanta Brave fans. I was reared in Mobile, Alabama. It's the closest professional baseball team to me growing up. So we were Atlanta Braves fans, and watching Chipper Jones over his 19-year career there, staying only with this one ball club, which is rare. One of his teammates, a young guy who I think he's been mentoring and helping, he said, I'm watching Chipper as he's 40 years of age. He is tired. His body hurts all the time. He went through and just described, it sounded like a pastor who's been pastoring a church for some years, and the daily grind of ministry is just dwindling us down, and ministry can do that to us. Well, vision, discovering God's vision for your ministry and your church being unified in it will energize everyone, including you. And so it is that which is going to help you fight exhaustion. It rolls and couples with the sustenance point. The next thing it does is that vision produces purpose. It helps people find their place and part in your church. It helps them clearly understand their duties in light of God's eternal purpose. It produces purpose. People need purpose. They need to feel like their life means something, that it counts, that it wasn't wasted. And that often can be the very mindset of the people that you're pastoring and caring for. And vision, God's vision for your ministry can produce purpose in their life. Next, it motivates giving. Now, you'll like this one, because I'm not talking to any pastors who've said we've got all the money that we need for ministry. When you have a clearly stated vision, and there's vision clarity that is unique to your ministry, that your people who are there have bought into it, who've taken ownership of it, they've caught it, and now they're energized and passionate and unified together in their direction and destination that God has for their ministry, and they have purpose in what they're doing week in and week out in serving in your ministry. And it will motivate their giving, their stewardship, time, talent, and treasure. So vision is key to people giving their money to their ministry. My good friend Alan Wilds, who works for as a consultant, as a capital stewardship consultant and a generosity coach for Generis, he wrote a blog on the fact that vision is key to giving. So if you want your giving and your people to have the joy of biblical stewardship, of giving of their time, talent, and treasure, their tithe and offering, of giving of themselves, then you want to help them discover and buy into God's vision for your ministry. It is key to your ministry and to the money that you need, and for your people and their maturity and their relationship with God, that they see very clearly the vision that God has for your ministry, for your church, for them. Many try to appeal to people's giving by focusing on the need. This focus really isn't on target, because they may begin to view your ministry like a failing business that is constantly in the red ink. And all they're doing is giving, and it's just keeping you open one more day. Instead of that, people want to know where you're going. Provide for them this so that they can give of themselves unreservedly to the ministry that God has called them to. In the ministry design process, your values, mission, and vision and strategic plan all are coupled together. They're married together. They're joined together to create a healthy whole so that you can fulfill God's will for your ministry. So let me ask you, as we look at the derivatives of vision and visioneering, why is it important? As we summarize this, let me tell you what Bert Nanus said. He said, there is no more powerful engine driving an organization toward excellence and long-range success than that of an attractive, worthwhile, and achievable vision of the future that is widely shared by everyone that is involved. Vision gives significance to the otherwise meaningless details of our lives. Andy Stanley says that on page 9 of his book, Visioneering. 1 Corinthians 6, verses 19 through 20, 1 Corinthians 10, verse 31, Ephesians 2, verse 10. We have a responsibility as believers, as Christians, as little Christ, to honor God in all we do. We've been bought with a price, 1 Corinthians 6. We're to do everything we do, whether we eat or drink, whatsoever we do, we're to do all to the glory of God, 1 Corinthians 10:31. And we are the God's workmanship, Ephesians 2:10, created for his purpose. It is not our vision we pursue, but it is his. And we gave up the right at Calvary to direct our own lives. God is to direct our lives. He has a destination for us and for our ministries. So let me just ask you, Pastor, do you clearly understand the vision for your life and for your church? Do you understand that it's your duty, your responsibility to lead the process of discovering and implementing God's divine design for your ministry? Well, let me ask you this. Who wants to follow a blind man who has no literal physical vision? He doesn't know where he is headed and how to get there. He can't see. He might see in his mind's eye, but he physically doesn't see. He doesn't know where he is on the map at any given time. So when it comes to a pastor, who wants to follow a pastor that doesn't know where the church is headed, nor how it's going to get there, and what direction to go to arrive there? He doesn't know where he's going, nor can he see it. Why is it important to have God's vision fully discerned, discovered, developed, designed, and delivered, implemented, and then to care for it and manage it? Why is that important? Well, the Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish, or they're unhinged, or they have no direction. And so take your pick as to how you want to exegete that passage and translate what God meant by it. The fact is, without vision, it's not good result. What impact will it have? Well, partnering with God provides the greatest opportunity for eternal impact in the souls of men and women for ages to come. Sunday we were having a conversation with a missionary from New Zealand. As we stood there and talked with my father-in-law, my wife's dad, and mom, and this missionary and his wife, and then my wife and I, we began to understand the chain and impact of the ministry of my father-in-law to the missionary's wife's dad, to the missionary's dad and mom. And then in my ministry, I pastored someone who had been impacted by the missionary's dad. So my wife's dad had a ministry, and under it, one of his church members got called to ministry, pastored, and out of that, his 5 children are all faithfully serving the Lord full-time in ministry. And out of that, I got to pastor someone who got called to the ministry under. And so you see the impact. You're looking at generations of people. Who knows what the ripple effect of one person's life dropped in a pond and the ripple effect of that cannonballing into the water, what effect it has as it goes on and on and on. You see, we can't use our own time, talent, and treasure for our own selfish reasons. Nor can we live a visionless life. What impact can it have? An impact for generations into eternity. But if you don't ever bother to connect with God and pursue him and wait on him to discern his vision for your ministry and go through the visioneering exercise process, there's souls at stake. Who will it affect? All those that God wishes to impact and touch through his vision for your life and my life and our ministries. What happens if you ignore it? Well, very clearly, you lose and so do the others lose. What happens if you embrace it? Well, let me encourage you with this. There are benefits that you'll receive during the process of visioneering. The benefits of it. And then there's a product, the rewards of going through the process. If you want to think outside yourself, if you want to really make your life count, then you've got to partner with God and take a hold of the privileges and the pleasure of being allowed to partner with Him in the greatest cause of all time. It comes back to a personal relationship in your congregation, grabbing a hold of God and their personal relationship with Him, to pursue Him and to wait on Him, to discover, for Him to reveal His vision, His preferred future for your ministry, and how He would have you to reach it, your mission, all based on the priorities, your value system, your core values. If you need to go back and revisit the core values webinars and the mission webinar to help you refresh your thinking on this. Folks, if you want to move down the line, the process, then you need to understand the benefits from the process and the rewards, the product that comes from embracing God's vision for your ministry and with courage leading it to be fulfilled, so that God's people and those who don't yet know Him, who are to come to Christ, will be a part of your church family, who will get to go along with you to see God work in a magnificent way. There's a lot to be derived from the visioneering process. I hope that you'll go on the journey and have courage to do it and plow through the barriers and challenges that you'll surely come across. Well, I'm Marshall Shannon, your ministry design coach. Ministry design training is where these webinars are found. Our website and company is Ministry Design Concepts. You can reach me at this address or either one of these numbers. And I trust the Lord's blessing upon you, Pastor, as you lead your church through into the future, that God would be honored and others would be done great good for eternity, because you took courage to pursue God and discern His vision for your ministry.